Have you ever wanted something really bad? So bad that you would give anything for it? Or do you just want someone to dominate someone else? Or, well, you. Not me though. Call me Silver Rayleigh because I love young girl. Hello and welcome to a quick guide to Mommy 3.0. Jade is a quantum erudition character who specializes in buffing allies. Oh, and wetting multiple enemies' pants with her unholy follow-up damage. Alright, her basic attack is a blast attack. There's only two that come to mind while saying basic blast attack, and that is Blade and Dan Honkai. Both of them need enhancements first, so this is a noteworthy part of her kit. Anyways, her basic is a blast attack for two reasons. And it's because her skill and her talent. More about them right now. Her skill is a support skill. Yes, a DPS with a buffing skill. She basically turned an ally into Topaz. Well, a debt collector, but you get the point. The debt collector will gain a flat 30 speed boost and deals extra quantum damage from Jade. But they will also get the big suck in the form of a tiny bit of their max HP. Her buff lasts for 3 turns. Her talent is a follow-up attack and it only activates after getting 8 charges. Think of like Adventurine or Blade follow-up attack. For every enemy Jade or Debt Collector attacks, Jade will gain 1 charge. When the charge reaches 8, Jade consumes 8 charges and launches her follow-up attack, which deals massive quantum damage to all enemies. You can exploit this by using an AoE character with her like Herda, Jingyuan, or Argenti, so you can activate her follow-up attack super fast. This also means that Topaz isn't the best teammate with her. After launching her follow-up attack, she gets 5 pawn assets. Each one of pawn assets increases her crit damage by around 2%, and it can be stacked up to 50. This means that the more follow-up attacks she uses, the harder she whip. Her ultimate deals okay damage to all enemies, but the juicy part is it buffs her follow-up attack multipliers for 2 turns. Or use her alt to trigger her follow-up attack to get even more dummy damage. Wait, wrong character, I mean character.
What?
Let's move on to her technique. We now have the trinity of messing with enemy AI technique. We got Hoyoverse, who push enemies away. We got Robins, who bring them to her. And now we have Jade, who makes them stand still. Wait, isn't that just Jing Liu but worse? Anyways, the enemies will be inflicted with blind fatalities and will enter combat simultaneously, whatever that means. Oh, she also deals damage to them and gets 15 pawn asset at the start. Major traces. A2 give her 1 pawn asset for every enemy that enter the screen, and 3 when the debt collector turns begin. A4 advanced her action by 50% when entering combat. A6 made her pawn asset increase her attack too. Jade isn't complex to play, just get an AoE character with her and get to 50 pawn asset as soon as possible. You want to use her skill on the AoE character the first turn, then just basic attack until the buff ran out. This means she is a semi-SP positive character, and with some help from SP positive character, you can use the rest of your skill point to generate pawn asset with your AoE attacker. I'll talk more about her teammate later, but now, should you pull? This question is easy this time. Do you have any pull left from Firefly? Nah, I'm joking. The real question is, are you struggling with peer fiction? Is your Herda or Himiko any good? Do you have any other limited AoE character like Jingyuan or Argenti? If one or more is yes, then you might need to look into pulling her, especially if you are struggling with Peer Fiction Stage 4. That might mean that your AoE character is lacking or your main DPS is a blast or single attack DPS, which isn't the best in Peer Fiction. So strategize your pull and calculate if you need Jade or not. E1 versus S1. E1 increase her follow-up attack damage by 32%, and any debt collector who only hit 2 or 1 enemies will generate her an additional 1 or 2 charge respectively. This opens up more options for her teammates, but overall, I don't think it's worth it. Her light cone yet hope is priceless, increase her crit rate by 16%. Her follow-up damage is increased by 12% for every 20% of her crit damage that goes over 120%. This can be stacked up to 4 times. And while using her basic attack, her alt and follow-up damage ignore 20% of enemies' defense for 2 turns. Her light cone just offers so much more versatility. You will need less crit rate while building her, you get rewarded for more crit damage, and you also get more alt and follow-up damage after using basic attack. The value is just insane.
He said it!
For her light cone option, we all know her best in slot, so just move on. So her next light cone is surprisingly Himiko light cone. If there are 5 enemies or more on the screen, that is. For a little more cash Today is another peaceful day is a good option, but not far behind that is the genius response. For something more free to play, the new herder shop like cone, the seriousness of breakfast, and the day the cosmos fell also works fine, and they can also be bought from the shop. For Relic Build, the new wind soaring set is made for her, but somehow the quantum set is still better. Damn you defense signal. Duke Inferno set is also better, so I don't know how to feel right now. For planar ornament, they are surprisingly very close in damage with each other. The main contesters are the new Duran Dynasty set, the Syngonia set, the yellow one, the Izumo set, the Pepsi one, and the good old reliable Inert Sosoto. Best to worst as following, but the damage is very close to each other. For body, go with crit rate unless you have 7% or more crit rate with crit damage body because you will be getting a lot of crit damage from pawn asset. I initially thought speed boost would be better, but attack boost give her much more damage, and because most of her damage came from her follow-up attack, getting an AoE teammate to gain charge for her resulted in more damage overall than an extra turn for herself. For planar, attack or quantum orb is fine, and for rope, always go for attack. For substat, get a lot of crit rate until around 80% and then go for crit damage. Attack percent is also good, and if you can, go for 134 speed with an attack boost, but it's nothing to bang your head about. Team building. An average Jade team will look something like this. A Jade, an AoE DPS, a support, and a sustain. Jade is built for pure friction, so you most likely run her with an AoE DPS. In theory, you can run her as a single main DPS, but just like Topaz, she performs way better with a friend. For the AoE DPS, Herda is a very good option as a sub DPS because she a lot, meaning Jade consistently gain a massive amount of charge every time the enemy health is low, making her one of the best teammates for Jade. Other contenders are Jingyuan, Argenti, and Himiko. Jingyuan has AoE attack on all aspects of his kit, and Lightning Lord can act as a bonus charge for Jade. Argenti is slower than Jingyuan for charging Jade because of his ult gimmick, but he also dish out his own damage. And Himiko's skill isn't an AoE, but she also launches follow-up attack very often, so she is also a good teammate for Jade. An interesting teammate is Blade, because Jade sucks HP from teammate, in turn triggering his follow-up attack faster. But for Blade to be more efficient, you need to also put Barnya in the same team, but he works best with Jade E1. For support, it depends on who you bring in as a second DPS. Herda can use both Runmei and Robin, Himiko breaks enemy faster with Runmei, and Blade needs Barnya to trigger his follow-up faster. For sustain, any sustain will do, unless you're doing something weird like buffing your Aventurine and using his follow-up attack. Otherwise, anyone will do. Jade is definitely an interesting character, being both a buffer and a DPS, even if her buff isn't the best and it's more give and take, like you get more speed and extra damage and I get more charges. Well, good luck with your pulls, don't go do any shady contract for good luck, and see ya! A2 give her 1 pawn asset for every A2 give her 1 pawn asset for any Jade isn't complex to pay. Oh my god, my This means she is a semi-positive. This means she is a semi-SP positive character and with some skill point health form. This means they are surprisingly very close in damage with each other. They are surprisingly very close in damage with each other.